I spend a lot of time walking through the back alleys in Toronto or anywhere else, just to sketch what I see. When I was down there sketching this man, he's from Spadina, a homeless man, but you can see his little butt of a cigarette. He probably picked it up somewhere, and when he sucked on it, he closed his eyes and like that. So I love that part of it. This is done in a different way also because I painted the whole canvas gold. I love sketching just because I love to sketch. It'll be gone in a few years. See, this is all colored glass here. So you see, if I were painting this, I would probably show that part there. Notice the old screen up there just sort of laying there. So I'll just put that in here like this. And of course these are all, it's a brick house, and you can just indicate bricks. So it all goes down. This is a 3-story house. The porch is going to start down here, which of course is all rotted out. What's drawing me to this is if I were painting this, this is wonderful because notice how the paint is all peeling off this old window. These are typical tall windows that they often had back then. Look at here where these bricks and things are. And old bricks also are a different color than new bricks. So that's what I like about all those. If I lived in the suburbs, I would hate it. I would plant corn in the front yard because I wouldn't be able to stand the grooming. Amazing. You don't see things like that unless you're really looking. I'm always sketching. If I go to the racetrack, I sketch. I was meeting a friend for lunch and it was out in the back 40. So rather than just sit and wait in a restaurant, I just stood outside sketching. So in a 20-minute period, I would get something like this and got this at their woodshed. And I looked across the field and saw this lovely farm. And then at the side of the restaurant I got this, and by that time she was there. Sketches aren't meant to be anything finished. You know, just a memory thing, you catch it. This is why I always sketch with a pen, because there's no erasing. It's not about how perfect it is. And I also try to sketch in one solid line, as opposed to sort of scratch sketching. I try really hard not to be influenced by other artists. Because, well, they're saying what they're saying and I'm trying to say what I'm saying, and if I look at what they're doing, sometimes I look through a lot of art books and often it's just to see their take on color, how they incorporate the color, how much color saturation is there, what have they done that is interesting or something I've never done. Often compositions are key too. I'll have to tone it a bit as I go, and I can tone it by rubbing it. So now I have to decide if that's yellow enough. See, if you have yellow here, you have to have it here. And then I have a chance to bring it down here now. to get it to work. It's not about one layer, it's about many layers. But painting is not a clean job, I can tell you that. When I tint it, I have an acrylic here that works just like oil. It already looks better. That's better. Better because I've gotten rid of this ridge that went around here. Because I sanded it off, this molding paste that is underneath, when I tint it, it's going to come out a different color. It's going to come out lighter. I love to sketch. I'd rather sketch than paint. I like to sketch people that don't know that I'm sketching them. For instance, he's just sitting there. He probably lost the last race. This person's going to move, so I have less than a minute. Most people don't stay still for a minute, so you have less than that to capture what it is you want to capture. But like I said, it's not about perfection. It's just to catch the essence and the way that person's standing. Like this one really is sketchy. You know, it's not a drawing, it's a sketch. I find I can do people a lot faster than a building because I know they're going to move and I know the building isn't, so I really have learned to work really, really fast when it comes to people. I have a great love of India. I've been going there since I was in my 20s. That was in the 60s, and there was a need there. They were opening a technical training school. They needed somebody to teach weaving and carpentry. So my then husband and I and the kids went off to India, and we stayed for 4 years. Loved it. Been going there ever since on my own, every year. It's great, I love it. I'll probably keep going back forever. I love to paint cloth, and I like the colors. I like it when people are walking because then the cloth is flowing. It makes it more interesting. This is part of the Indian phase. These are all women carrying the earth on their head. You know, they're digging and carrying, a lot of the women do. It always fascinated me that the women were always extremely well dressed. They had one sari, and that was the sari they're wearing, and it can be really pretty. I ran and ran to catch up to her, and I asked her if I could take her picture, and she said, "Oh no, you can't take my picture." So I had to be satisfied with the back view. I tend to like the back view anyway. For me, the most exciting thing about India is the workers. Every single piece I've done is somehow reflecting to labor. They're either carrying it on their head or their back, or they're digging or something like this. The laboring people are fascinating because some of them wear plastic bags on their heads, some wear colorful cloths on their heads. This guy, you can see, is going to be shoveling the earth into this. He's going to pick it up and carry it on his head. I like to think that he's worldly, so I think that's the reason I probably put it on the newspaper. I hope that he will become worldly, as that his life won't be just a case of drudgery. I was in the Punjab 2 or 3 years ago, and it was 7 in the morning, and I saw these guys, and I said to them, "Oh, could I take your picture?" And I eventually did sketches of them also, but at that time, this chap here says, "Just a minute," he fixes this and he puts puts his hands like this, and so here he is here. This is all done in a glaze, so that's why it's a little bit different than the other. It's known as a wash. But don't they look like the three wise men? Do you want to know something? All three of them were drunk as skunks at 7 in the morning. You can see she's going out to get water. So everything I do in terms of India is about how they carry on their lives. And for somebody living marginalized like these people, then they're always working. This is also in South India. She looks very young, but what I love about doing the work from there is this amazing colors everywhere. Wonderful, wonderful colors. And I was attracted to this, of course, because of all the yellow in here. This one also is about layers and layers and layers of glazing. I did the background first. I created this whole background just because I felt like it, and then I didn't know what to do on top of it. So I just quickly took a crayon and did this. See all of these colors? That color was all there in the background. I didn't put, the only color I put on was this black chalk, this white oil pastel, this oil pastel. And then I added a little bit more white just for shape here. But otherwise the color was already in the background. So it's just that in this case, I worked the reverse way. I love to paint children because they're never going to complain. I never paint beautiful women because they always want to remain beautiful. Old men are good, old ladies are good. But children I love to do. They're never going to say they don't like it. To do children, I had to come up with a way that I could make children look nice and soft. And there's a product called molding paste. I put it down first. It's like working on paper. This is done with the same thing as this, but notice the difference. This is much more crisp, and for children you have to keep all the lines nice and soft. I love painting old houses, or sketching old houses. I seem to sketch a lot more than I would ever paint. I have reams of sketchbooks compared to paintings. It's a wonderful old one because the steps are all broken, and I'll make this into a painting. I was fascinated by this one because of the, these big cracks, these big spaces in this old garage door. It's another old backyard. It just so happens this backyard is full of weeds and a lot of stuff going on. It was this wonderful old fence, this wonderful wire here. This is with another part of a gate. I loved it. I drew this line in here to show you that just that section alone could be made into a painting, could even be an abstract. But out in the country, this was an old bridge with a cement footing, which of course was just falling apart. So sometimes you don't have to have a building. Another thing I do is, when I'm not driving, is make squares, a whole bunch of squares on a page. And as I'm driving along, or whoever's driving me along, I quickly look at, just out the window, try to quickly see, put it down in a sketch. And I have books full of just squares of things. For me to make a painting out of this, I have enough information there to do a composition on a canvas. Then I'll go out and look at the site again to put in the little details. But mainly these sketches are just about where I'm going to place it on a canvas. In this particular backyard, here again, all of the background was done first. You see these colors? That was all done first. Then I just took a white paint and a palette knife and just put it over top in these marks. I've done owls, mushrooms. Now, can you imagine doing mushrooms forever and ever? And then I did boxes and boxes, boxes with flowers, boxes piled one on top of the other. Spent a whole year doing that. I've spent 2 or 3 years just doing wildflowers. I've done clotheslines. I've done every phase under the sun.